All right, we're going to shift over to the receiving room here for the Patriots. It's been really hard for fantasy managers to kind of decode what's going on with New England receivers. I mean, always really, but particularly this offseason. I'm guessing the recently extended Devontae Parker is going to be a part of 3 receiver sets, even 2 receiver sets here in New England. Who else? Fill us in on who else is going to take those every down snaps at receiver in this offense.
Well, I do think we're going to see a lot of 12 personnel. So you're going to have a lot of Hunter Henry and Mike Gesicki on the field. But then the 2 clear top guys at receiver for me are Devontae Parker and Juju Smith-Schuster. Those are the guys that are out there just about every rep with Mac Jones. And again, you're getting a decent amount of 12 personnel. So Hunter Henry and Mike Gesicki. When Gesicki comes off, right now it looks like Kendrick Bourne, who's been the number 3. But I would say that spot is pretty fluid. I don't think they've necessarily committed all that much in the way in terms of reps to Kendrick Bourne. They're not building this offense around Kendrick Bourne by any means. Tyquan Thornton, I think they would love to see show out, but he has been an absolute non-factor in camp, which I think is one of the most disappointing aspects of camp for the Patriots thus far, because he really brings that one element to their offense that they don't have, which is speed. I mean, they have a lot of big-bodied, contested catch guys. They would love to have someone who can make life a little bit easier on everyone else, because you have to acknowledge him in the deep part of the field. That should be Tyquan Thornton, but he's missed some time injured. He missed time back in the spring injured. He hasn't done anything with the opportunities that he's gotten in the way of targets from Mac Jones. Rookie Pop Douglas out of Liberty, who's a 6th-round pick, is actually, I think, pushing Tyquan Thornton for a role in this offense as the number 4 guy. So to me right now, it looks like Parker, who's their down the field, jump ball, contested catch threat, which he was last year. I don't see that changing much. Juju Smith-Schuster, to me, just slides right into that Jacoby Myers role. And so if you're in a PPR league, if you're a fantasy manager there, that's the guy that I would want. Okay. I wouldn't sleep on Hunter Henry. To me, Hunter Henry is a guy, and I'll admit that I have, when we look at their roster, we say, okay, who on this roster is even like a top 10 player at his position? I think Hunter Henry deserves to be in that conversation for tight ends. I'm not necessarily, thinking that he's going to be pushing any of the top 3 or 4 guys in fantasy football in terms of points scored this year at that tight end spot. But that's a spot that has been, you guys would know better than me in terms of the outlook, the overall outlook right now this year. But as a fantasy player myself, that's a spot where I'm always just looking to plug holes. And I do think Hunter Henry could be a serviceable week-to-week option in this offense. He has, especially in the red zone, he clearly, to me, has Mac Jones's trust.
That's what I was going to ask you about Hunter Henry, because like you said, he's going to be more of like a streamer at tight end in fantasy, but it didn't make sense to me last year that he didn't score more touchdowns, and at least to an outside perspective, he didn't seem like an emphasis in the red zone. Maybe he was, and the Patriots offense was just so dysfunctional. Like as a fantasy guy, I just couldn't detect that. But I was going to ask, at the very least, is Hunter Henry going to be the go-to guy in the red zone of this offense? Because why else would you sign Hunter Henry, if that wasn't the plan for him? And so you said it's seeming like Hunter Henry is going to at least maybe get his looks inside the 20.
He should. Now, the thing that's working against him is they're built like a basketball team. So, he's not the only guy that you would characterize as a red zone threat. Devontae Parker fades to the back corner are going to be part of their offense. Juju Smith-Schuster is going to be out there, another big body guy that they're not afraid to throw to when somebody is on his back. But I would say when it comes to just that chemistry and that understanding of, okay, my guy, Hunter Henry, has leverage on his defender. It really doesn't matter where that guy is. If I put it in a certain spot, he's going to come down with it. It feels like he has that with Henry more than any of these other receivers. Again, I don't know if he's going to be a dependable, you just plug him in and you forget about it every single week.
Right.
But he's gonna get those looks. And so I'd feel pretty good about, okay, at least he'll have an opportunity this week in the red zone. They were the worst red zone offense in football last year.
That
was of all of the dysfunctional things about the 2022 Patriots offense, that might have been the most dysfunctional aspect of their attack. So Hunter Henry in the red zone should be more of a factor this year, I'm thinking.
That was where I most frequently saw the screams of Mac Jones to the sideline. I was never even entirely sure who he was screaming at. I guess probably not Bill Belichick.
I mean, I hate to harp on the screaming, but I think basically Mac Jones was crying out for help.
He was literally.
He just wanted a little help. Please, somebody on the sideline, help me out. That's what he was saying.
He wanted answers too, right? I mean, I think that's going to be the biggest benefit of Bill O'Brien is when we're out there watching him coach during training camp, you're seeing him fill the space between snaps, between periods with coaching. That's something we didn't see last year. Hey, if you get this leverage with this look, we're going to do X, Y, or Z. When we're running these back shoulder throws into the front corner of the end zone or the back corner of the end zone, it's going to be here versus down here, depending on the situation. There's all these little teaching points that he has gathered over more than 2 decades coaching offense that they weren't getting last year. And Mac Jones was coming to them, and others in that offense were coming to Joe Judge, Matt Patricia with questions and not getting the answers. So there's a lot of confidence, I would say, that should lift the entire operation on that side of the ball just by making them all feel a little bit better about how their roles fit into the overall big picture of their offense, of their attack, of their scheme week to week. And I think you're already seeing that confidence show out on the practice field. Again, if they can't block, they're really in trouble because they don't have quarterbacks, whether it's Mac Jones or Bailey Zappi, who can move around all that well in the pocket, outside the pocket, and make plays off script. They have to do it as it's drawn up. And if it's McDermott and Reif out there as your starters, Trent Brown's been sort of lingering in the background for weeks here, it feels like. But if it's those two guys that are trying to protect you on the outside, it's not going to go well.